Ms. Beckley is present in paternity court today as she has had enough of Mr. Allen's absence in her one-year-old daughter's life. And this case is about to get really insane.
Ms. Beckley, you are in court today to prove Mr. Allen is the biological father of your one-year-old daughter, Italy Beckley.
Yes, Your Honor.
You say Mr. Allen has only seen his daughter one time since she has been born, and you want him to take responsibility starting today. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Beckley says Mr. Allen has only seen her daughter just once since birth, and that's quite worrisome. Mr. Allen, on the other hand, says Ms. Beckley's baseless accusation of him being the biological father of her daughter is a problem in his present relationship, and now we have to dig through what their past has been like.
So, Ms. Beckley, how do you feel that Mr. Allen has only seen your daughter once?
I'm very angry, very frustrated. He's been neglecting her from day one since I got pregnant with her. And I'm just sick of it, and I just want him to take responsibility of something we both made. It makes me feel angry. I'm angry.
Ms. Beckley is getting emotional over Mr. Allen's neglect towards her daughter, but the story gets more confusing when Ms. Beckley reveals they have two other kids together, and Mr. Allen is present in their lives. We really need to hear Mr. Allen's side of the story about his behavior towards one-year-old Italy.
Mr. Allen, are you neglecting Italy? Why are you not in her life?
Your Honor, the time of conception made me have strong doubts. Well, me and Ms. Beckley had separated. We were co-parenting. We were still good friends.
That's not true. On Germany's second birthday, he wasn't staying with me, but he ended up coming back on her birthday. We had sex, unprotected.
It wasn't baby-making sex. It was angry sex.
It's not about baby-making sex. Sex is...
Mr. Allen's claim is solely on having doubts. Yeah, that's completely understandable. But what exactly did Mr. Allen mean by it wasn't baby-making sex? It was angry sex. Someone needs to educate Mr. Allen that any kind of sex can lead to a baby.
You admit
I wouldn't say
that?
intimate, but I would say we did, yes.
Sex is intimate.
You had sex?
Yes.
Angry, happy, sad, confused, all those make baby. Did you use protection?
No, Your Honor.
All right, so how long after that did you find out she was pregnant?
Within a day or two.
A day or
Yes,
two?
Your
That's
Honor.
a lie.
Yes, within a day
That
or
is
two,
a
she
lie.
told me.
How
Yes,
can I
Your
tell you a day after?
Unprotected sexual intercourse definitely puts Mr. Allen on the list of the baby's potential father. However, Mr. Allen claims Ms. Beckley told him she was pregnant after a day or two. Even if a woman wanted to pin pregnancy on a man, she wouldn't do it a day or two after they had just copulated. So yeah, it doesn't make any sense as Ms. Beckley stated.
How long after you had sex before you found out you were pregnant and let Mr. Allen know?
So it was after a month when I found I was pregnant, and from that, it was like, oh, that don't make sense, that you got pregnant too fast. Well, of course,
So you have other children that he accepts. Was he supportive during the pregnancy with Italy? Was he there for you, doctor's appointment?
No, ma'am, I had emergency C-section. I was at the hospital by myself. He was not there.
Notifying Mr. Allen after about a month seems plausible since the pregnancy hormones would have started kicking in, but according to Ms. Beckley, Mr. Allen said she got pregnant too fast. Mr. Allen indeed needs a sex ed class. Also, a woman having a cesarean section without the baby daddy right by her side is insane.
And I called for a DNA test, Ms. Beckley.
You did not.
You denied me a DNA test
crazy.
twice.
Okay.
Twice. And now you telling me I don't deserve it? I have children, and all of them have my last name. I didn't have my biological father in my life. So it would be a shame for me not to step up for mine. It would be a shame.
You denied.
Mr. Allen says he had requested for a DNA test twice, but Ms. Beckley was hesitant to agree to the test. But in the same breath, Ms. Beckley says nothing like that happened. Anyway, Mr. Allen says he would have done right by the child if he knew for sure that she's his biological daughter.
Well, Your Honor, I have questioned Shamia about Italy. I asked could I speak to her. She say no. I asked when she come, while us having a visitation every other week, we have swap and exchange at a police station. She don't bring Italy. She don't make Italy a factor to my life. She gave
If you're denying her, why would I bring her to see you? That don't make sense.
She gave Italy her last name for the simple fact that she want to hurt me and break me down as a father.
Again, Ms. Beckley seems to be intentionally disconnecting one-year-old Idale from Mr. Allen due to his prior denial of the baby. Ms. Beckley won't even drop off the baby with the other children. That seems to be a problem coming from Ms. Beckley.
Montgomery, I'm Darius' fiance, Your Honor. She has told Darius that he was not the father. It's been said that she's told another guy he was the father.
Okay, y'all got proof of that, and y'all fiancés, where the ring at?
Girl, mind your business.
Where the ring at, right? You have no business, that's why you're here. Because you worried about, was you in the bed with me and him when we had her?
Mr. Allen's fiance testifies Ms. Beckley has said the magic words of "you're not the father" to Mr. Allen, but Ms. Beckley wants her to provide proof of her saying those words. However, the atmosphere is getting heated, and the only way to end this is to open the envelope and get the truth.
Mr. Allen, you are the father.
Told you, you too, fiance. Stepmama.
Stop.
Your Honor.
You all are still very much tied. Everybody in this room can see it.
Ms. Lyde is in denial about the man she has believed to be her biological father for over 2 decades now, turning the clock around and denying her as her father.
Ms. Lyde, you say that for 26 years you have known only one man, the defendant, Mr. Ellis, to be your biological father. And you're devastated that he is claiming you're not his.
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Ellis claims Ms. Lyde's mother was not the woman he thought she was in their 7-year relationship as she cheated on him. This makes Mr. Ellis believe he isn't the biological father to Ms. Lyde, but this is Judge Lauren's paternity court. Never say never.
How was your relationship with Mr. Ellis growing up?
I didn't really have a relationship with Mr. Ellis growing up. It was just me and my mom. I've been in and out of group homes, foster homes. No male role model in my life. It's been hard. I had a long, hard life growing up.
Moving from one foster home to the other must have been difficult for Ms. Lyde, but Mr. Ellis doesn't seem to be getting all emotional because of that reason. Mr. Ellis hits the hammer on the nail, saying Ms. Lyde is bright in color, meaning her mother could have slept with a white dude while she was partying all around in her prime.
Mr. Ellis,
is there any
explain that. You had a DNA test already.
Yes.
Explain.
When I was away, her mother called child support on me. They came and took the DNA test.
You got the results
I
back?
got the results back. It was 99.9 that I wasn't the father. So I showed her the paperwork.
So
she don't
wouldn't you
want to
want
hear.
99.9% that you were not
Yes, it was something
the
like
father.
Something like that. Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Ellis had previously already had a DNA test done, and the result came back as him not being Ms. Lyde's biological father. Being taken off child support is a relief to any man who wasn't willing to be in a child's life. So that must have been enough for Mr. Ellis, as he said.
I'd like to hear from your mother. Please stand, ma'am.
Yes,
Ms.
ma'am.
Lyde, you are Danielle's mother.
Yes, ma'am.
Was there a DNA test performed?
The test got was from her through juvenile court, but they never showed.
The bottom line is a DNA test was performed, yes or no?
Yes.
What were the results?
They said in the court 99% yes.
That 99.9% that yes, he was Danielle's biological father.
Yes, that was, that's
Thank
I
you
was
so much.
for.
That's what I wanted to know.
The story changes as Ms. Lyde's mother claims a DNA test was truly conducted, but the result was the opposite of what Mr. Ellis said. Ms. Lyde's mother claimed the test result was 99% positive that Mr. Ellis is Ms. Lyde's biological father, and that makes the story complicated. So who's telling the truth?
Why do you feel in your heart this man is denying you?
People do things in life that is unexplainable. Me, I look at myself and I love myself. I look at myself in the mirror every day and I appreciate myself. So if another human being on this earth don't want to accept me for who I am, that's not going to stop me from loving me for who I am.
Ms. Lyde doesn't care whether Mr. Ellis accepts her or not. She believes she's enough and no one can tell her otherwise. However, Mr. Ellis says it's Ms. Lyde's mother that is to be blamed as she's not being transparent about her paternity issue.
What are you feeling?
And I feel like if you are old enough to, like what you guys went through was not my fault. And you guys should never have involved me in anything that you guys were going through. I would never put my kids through that, ever. You guys should have settled this the right way, the appropriate way, not wait for it to see the outcome of it. This is the outcome
And you're
of
right,
it.
and that's why for years I've been telling your mama to quit lying to you and tell you the truth about who your father is, so you find your real father.
I feel like
that's why I
deserve
called
the
the
truth.
courts.
I deserve
That's
to know
why I
what's
called the
going
courts.
on.
That's spot on with Ms. Lyde saying their affair from decades ago shouldn't have had to be her business in any way, but it is what it is. She's caught up in the web already. However, Mr. Ellis is firm in his stance about Ms. Lyde's mother being a liar and making the entire situation messy for both parties.
Hello, ma'am. thank you for joining us today. Why are you convinced that your son isn't Miss Lyde's biological father?
When I first saw the baby at a month old, she looked 4 months old. And from what I had heard from my son, her father's a great big man. What I heard from my neighbor, she has a little brother that she and the little brother were like twins. And the grandmother, Miss Lyde Sr.'s mother, brought the baby over in the house behind mine every day for a week.
Mr. Ellis' mother's story seems to be as confusing as the messy situation. From one person to another person, and we don't even understand what happened during that time. To make matters worse, Mr. Ellis' mother never saw the DNA test result.
Your Honor, I feel sorry for this child. I've told him this, and I've told my whole family this.
I don't need anybody to feel sorry for me at all. Because at the end of the day, I'm blessed. I just want to know the truth.
But the DNA test told it already. Told the truth.
Let it go. She's lying still.
Mr. Ellis seems to be a mama's boy, seeing how his mother talks to him. Anyway, Ms. Lyde doesn't want anyone to feel sorry for her. She just wants to know the truth. So let's get to the bottom of this.
Mr. Ellis, you are the father.
Whoa!
I don't believe it.
I knew it. Yes. Boom. Ha. Yeah.
High school love soaring past high school is a dream many people wish they could have. But Ms. Walton and Mr. Cherry's high school love that escaped the shores of their high school education didn't turn out the way they had hoped it would.
Ms. Walton, you say your 9-year relationship with your high school love is in jeopardy because he denies fathering your 1-year-old son, Josiah. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Cherry, you claim that Ms. Walton cheated constantly with another man, and you are 100% sure that he is the father. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Walton says things are about to go really bad in her high school love relationship as Mr. Cherry is walking out on her for good as soon as he confirms he didn't father Ms. Walton's 1-year-old son. But Mr. Cherry's planned decision is valid because he claimed Ms. Walton had been a cheat in the course of their relationship.
So, Ms. Walton, why is this DNA test so important to you?
Because, Your Honor, for the past year, he not my son. I'm not gonna do nothing for him. And all this, and then he treats my other 2 kids way different than he does Josiah at home. And I really need him to step up and be a father to my son as what he's supposed to be, because that's his son. Look at him, that's his twin.
A 9-year relationship being on rocks would definitely have anyone bawling their eyes out, because where does one even go from there? Ms. Walton says Mr. Cherry treats their other children differently than her 1-year-old son because he believes he's not his biological father.
Cherry, you really have doubt?
Yes, I do. I do have doubts because throughout our relationship, it's been just straight lies, you know, so.
Not true.
I just want to be here to let her know that everything that's been going on in our relationship is just lies.
So when you say straight lies, I mean, it's been a 9-year relationship.
Yes, it's been on and off. It's been kind of rocky. You know, we've been knowing each other since high school. You know, that's my high school sweetheart.
Mr. Cherry's side of the story sounds touching. From high school sweethearts to paternity court trying to find out the biological father of a baby is unbelievable. Mr. Cherry says Miss Walton lies way too much, and that's part of the reason he has doubts about the paternity of the baby.
It started to go wrong around the time that after high school. You know, we was on and off. I lost contact, so it got kind of hectic between me and her. You know, she decided to want to do what she want to do. I decided to do what I want to do.
So you said you did what you wanted to do and she did what she wanted to do. Does that mean you all were dating other people and seeing other people?
If he cheated, I cheated.
Mr. Cherry and Ms. Walton's game of retaliation has led to this messy situation where the biological father of a baby, both of them probably made, is up for questioning and about to be determined through a DNA test.
Let me ask you this, were you and your ex using protection, Ms. Walton?
Yes. Now, with Mr. Cherry, I don't use protection. I don't think I need to. If I do, I'm questioning him.
Well,
but for my ex, I did use protection, so it's no possibility that Josiah is his son.
Ms. Walton made sure she was protected whenever she was her ex, while the same couldn't be said for when she was with Mr. Cherry. However, the judge's conception calculation, according to Ms. Walton's dates, created more doubts than Mr. Cherry had.
I've been receiving messages. You know, I caught her, she confessed. I logged into her friend's Facebook account. You know, I seen messages numerous of times, not once, not twice. I have a family member, her kids even told me that a guy's been coming over, you know, that has gold teeth in his mouth. I mean, it's just what I know.
Mr. Cherry, in fact, has more than one reason to doubt the baby's paternity, seeing how he's detailing the stories he's heard from people around them and even text messages proof. But that's not a 100% reason for the the baby to not be his, though.
When you found out you were pregnant with Josiah,
He was happy, y'all.
and he was happy about
We
it.
bought pregnancy tests. I mean, he even called and made doctor's appointments.
Okay, and I have to ask you
father.
this, since we're being honest today. When you found out you were pregnant, who did you tell?
I told my best friend.
You told your best friend and you told Mr. Cherry?
Yes.
Did you tell the other man?
No.
Ms. Walton is going full force with her honesty, as she reveals she didn't tell the other man she was having something with that she was pregnant, as she didn't see the need for it. But how is Ms. Walton so sure Mr. Cherry is the father?
How can you definitively say he is not my child's father when you admit that you were sleeping with him before you were sleeping with Mr. Cherry?
I know them. And had he looked like my ex, me as a woman, I would have said, look, this possibility not your baby. We're going to do this when he born, and it's just what it is.
Look at the features. Look at his ears. Look at his forehead. Look at the eyes.
That's all of you. The nose, the eyes is
Look
from
at
me.
the
The
nose.
color is from me. The hair is from me. He is his mama's child.
Ms. Walton says she just knows, and some of the baby's features prove her point. Well, that's possible, but sometimes the female instincts aren't as accurate as people think. Let's find out if Ms. Walton's instincts were right or wrong.
Mr. Cherry, you are the father. Feels good to hear that.
Yes.
While most mothers in paternity court want the supposed baby daddy to accept their child, it's the complete opposite with Ms. Taylor in this case.
Mr. Thompson, you claim you've always known Miss Turner was your child and searched for Miss Turner for 14 years.
Ms. Taylor has kept her baby hidden from Mr. Thompson for 14 years because she doesn't want them to have any connection, as Mr. Thompson is not the father of her daughter. Mr. Thompson, on the other hand, wants to be a part of the daughter's life, but Ms. Taylor won't give him a chance.
So, Miss Taylor, why did you keep your daughter away from Mr. Thompson?
First off, the lifestyle that Mr. Thompson was living at the time, I really didn't want that for my daughter. And my mother had my daughter while I was going through something. And I spoke with my mother about him coming to see her. And my mother said no, she would let me handle it when I got back. When I came home, I didn't know where Mr. Thompson was.
That's a whole lot to take in for anyone. Realizing one's supposed baby daddy is married and out of sight is another level of heartbreak no one wishes for. In addition to the marriage situation, Ms. Taylor's mother didn't let her have her daughter be introduced to Mr. Thompson.
Did you know Miss Taylor was pregnant?
Yes.
Were you involved in the pregnancy?
Yes.
You were. In what way?
She was pregnant 3 months. We were still together. And then that's when, she went her way and I went mine. But she just up and disappeared.
So
I moved to another state.
did you move to another state before or after you had the baby?
After. I don't
So,
know.
Mr. Thompson, you were away when she had the baby. You weren't around, but did you know she had the baby? Were you informed?
No.
The atmosphere in the room goes from anger to sadness, as Mr. Thompson reveals how he didn't get the pictures Ms. Taylor sent after the birth of the baby. Also, the demise of Mr. Thompson's grandmother, and the story behind him seeing the pictures being talked about. Mr. Thompson seems like a good guy, but who knows?
Why is it you don't think he's your daughter's biological father?
The reason why I'm saying that is because during this time, before I met Mr. Thompson, I was having an affair with a married man. And being that I was having an affair with a married man, honestly, I didn't know if it was the married man's child or Mr. Thompson's child.
An affair with a married man? Ms. Taylor just got to the point everyone's been waiting for. It makes sense that she believes Mr. Thompson is not the father of her daughter, even though that's not certain just yet, but at least Mr. Thompson knows there's another potential biological father in the picture.
Who does your daughter believe is her father?
She believes that Mr. Thompson is her father.
Well, can I ask her something? Why you take my baby and run off and don't do nothing?
I didn't
I'm just,
take
you know
off.
where I was at.
I did not take, no, I didn't.
Ms. Taylor still made her daughter believe Mr. Thompson was her father, and she had been denying him access to her for close to 2 decades. Mr. Thompson is in the witness stand wondering why Ms. Taylor behaved the way she did. Well, everyone is thinking about that too, Mr. Thompson. Only Ms. Taylor understands her thought process of running off with her daughter.
He is her biological father. Why not tell him where she is?
When I did get in contact with Mr. Thompson, which was in October of 2012 via Facebook, that's when he started to know where we were and where she was.
Did you ever tell the married man
I told both of them.
that he potentially could be the father?
I told both of them. I told both of them.
And what was his response?
He didn't want nothing to do with it.
The other potential father didn't want to have anything to do with Ms. Taylor's baby, and it seems like she took the anger out on Mr. Thompson by not giving him a chance to know his supposed daughter.
Hi, Ms. Turner. Thank you for joining us. Your mom has testified, Mr. Thompson's testified, but we want to know from you, who did you grow up believing your biological father was?
Well, in 2012, my mom informed me that Mr. Thompson was my biological father, and so I kind of formed a relationship with him.
Ms. Turner enters the conversation with more depressing news, saying she believed she didn't have a father until 2012. Ms. Taylor refused to tell her anything about her father until that time. That could be hard for anyone while growing up, but Ms. Turner is here smiling and readjusting her hair like it had not been a problem in her life.
You feel you could ask your mom?
I felt like it was gonna be an argument and we would just fight about it and I would never get the answer. I'm sorry.
So your mom came to you in 2012 and said Mr. Thompson is your biological father?
Yes.
Then at what point did you find out there was a possibility that Mr. Thompson was not your biological father?
Just last week.
Really?
Ms. Turner is finally letting the emotional distress out with the way she keeps holding back her tears. Ms. Taylor seemed to have caused a lot of problems, from running off with her daughter, keeping her potential father out of the loop, to telling her daughter years later about her potential father, and just dragging everyone along in the mess she had created. Time to know the result.
Mr. Thompson, you are not her father. I'm so sorry. Miss Taylor, do you know where the man that you say would be the other possibility, do you know where he is?
Yes.
You do?
There are different versions of "I'm not your baby daddy" and "You're my baby daddy" in paternity court, but it gets crazy when a child is rejected to avoid having more kids than you can cater for.
Ms. McKenzie, you say Mr. Guy abandoned you and your daughter, Anaya, soon after she was born, and denies he's her father only because he already has too many kids.
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. McKenzie believes the only reason Mr. Guy is rejecting her baby is because he has so many kids already, and he's unwilling to accept her own baby to maintain the status quo he's currently at. However, Mr. Guy refuted that claim, saying he's not accepting the baby just because he believes that's not his child. Now let's see what the problem really is.
So, Ms. McKenzie, when did you first realize that he denied he was your daughter's father?
Well, when I told him that I was pregnant, he kind of like was shocked a little bit. Then he was like, "She gonna be my 13th daughter. Like, how can I take care of all of them?"
His what child?
13th kid.
13 kids, Mr. Guy?
No, Your Honor. I told her I had 8.
He told me he had 8, and then he said when I told him I was pregnant, he said 13.
You're definitely wrong about that.
No, Tim, you know.
You're definitely wrong about that.
So you're saying before he told you he had 8?
Yeah.
13? Using protection would have sufficed, but Mr. Guy doesn't seem to know about that, and hence the unending reproduction process with different women. And what was that about going to college with one of his kids? Whew. Mr. Guy doesn't even seem to know how to pick a woman in his range.
After I had her, he was at the hospital and everything. When he brought us home, he just like basically set her on the floor in her car seat. He was like, "I gotta go run an errand," and he never came back. So he just left her there. Like, he just left us there for like months.
So you come in from the hospital?
Yes.
And he puts her on the floor in the car seat?
Yes.
And says, "I gotta run an errand?"
Yes.
And never comes back?
Exactly.
Mr. Guy dropped Ms. McKenzie and her baby and ran off for months. That seems like the kind of guy any woman should avoid. Ms. McKenzie claimed she had to call Mr. Guy with a different number so he'd pick up. That's sad. We need to hear Mr. Guy's reason for behaving the way he did.
Mr. Guy, have you been avoiding her calls all that time?
Yes, Your Honor.
Why?
She was harassing me.
Harassing you about what?
Baby this, baby that.
'Cause
I'm
she's your
like,
baby.
That ain't my baby, you know.
Okay.
It's milkman's baby, somebody's baby, but it wasn't mine.
Excuse me.
Why did you say it wasn't yours? Were you sleeping with her?
I was sleeping
Were
with
you
her.
using protection?
No, Your Honor.
So how do you think you're excluded from possibility?
Like when the baby was born, I was at the hospital and looked at the baby. I said, "This ain't my baby."
Mr. Guy's reason for running off was that he believed the baby wasn't his since he looked at the baby the first time when they were in the hospital. Okay, Mr. Guy. Additionally, Mr. Guy believes Ms. McKenzie had another dude around at the time of conception who may be the potential father. Okay.
So why are you denying this beautiful baby? You say you were having an intimate relationship with her. Why are you saying it's someone else's child?
One time, me and my brother pulled up. She was sitting in the car with somebody, and they was there for a while because we was sitting up there watching them.
What were they doing in the car?
I thought they was having sex.
Mr. Guy is a funny man. Who believes people are having sex just because they were in a car together? Safe to say only Mr. Guy and his brother. Anyway, Ms. McKenzie cleared the air explaining the situation and what had really happened in the car.
Ms. McKenzie, am I correct?
Yes.
And you are Ms. McKenzie's mother?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, Your Honor.
Anaya, your grandchild is 3.
Yes, Your Honor.
And we've been having this paternity issue now for far too long. What do you know about the situation?
I'm really upset at Mr. Guy because he denying my granddaughter. She really don't even know who he is, and I'm upset with him. And I did live with them for a while, and he goes to the club. He might not even come in for 2 or 3 days.
Ms. McKenzie's mother is upset with Mr. Guy because of his attitude towards her granddaughter, which is valid. Mr. Guy has a lot going on in his head, but him leaving the house for 2 or 3 days because he's stressed at home seems like he was trying to run off again. But thankfully, he changed his mind and goes back home.
When I was sitting there taking care of the other siblings, she'll go to school in the morning time, which, you know, she'll tell me a certain time and come in at 12 a.m. So I looked up the little schedule of the school. There's no way she could be taking night courses because it ain't no night courses.
Exactly. All right.
Mr. Guy is in court with a whole exhibit to justify his reason for having doubts about the paternity of the child, and that's fair. However, Mr. Guy's exhibit claims Ms. McKenzie doesn't follow her school schedule since she's not back at home until midnight when classes end hours earlier. Ms. McKenzie puts that on the transportation schedule and her work routines.
Stories because he has to make me look bad for the fact that.
So what you're saying is you were not sleeping with anyone else?
No,
There's no other possibility?
No.
Mr. Guy?
I think it's a lot of possibilities.
Why do you think there are a lot of possibilities?
Everything she's saying is inconsistent. Because like I said, I was there.
You was not there.
But
he comes to our city where we live, and I have to call him and say, do you want your kids here? Yeah, I come and get them. He never showed up. He came and got them for Thanksgiving.
Mr. Guy won't change his mind about Ms. McKenzie's baby not being his, but Ms. McKenzie says he was the only man she was messing around with at the time of conception. Mr. Guy's unavailability angers Ms. McKenzie, and the only thing that can put an end to the issue is the DNA test result. Let's get to it.
Mr. Guy, you are her father. Now what, Mr. Guy? Speak.
I feel pretty much ashamed. I would like to be a father to her.
So what are you gonna do? Where are we gonna go from here?
Gotta first start by making up time
Yes.
with her, my daughter.
Yes.
A brief relationship could lead to a long-lasting and unwanted relationship between two people. Ms. Anthony is in paternity court due to her brief relationship with Mr. Porcio going south, and now she's blaming herself for it.
Ms. Anthony, you claim you had a short-term relationship with the defendant, Mr. Pouchot, who was initially excited when you told him you were pregnant. But now you are furious he is denying your 8-month-old son, Matthew. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Pouchot, you say you've never taken Ms. Anthony seriously, and she herself confessed to sleeping with other men during the time of conception. Is because you married someone else. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Anthony says her relationship with Mr. Porcio led to the pregnancy of her 8-month-old baby, but Mr. Porcio says that's a lie, and Ms. Anthony is just trying so hard to tag him as the biological father of her baby due to his present relationship with another person.
So, Ms. Anthony, what has Mr. Pouchot done for your child?
Not a damn thing, Your Honor. Nothing. Not a diapers, not wipes, not formula,
That's
not
only
anything.
because she told me that the child was
I'm getting to that. I told him that I did tell him that the child was not his, but Your Honor, he was not in a very good place in his life.
Mr. Porcio didn't feel the need to do any of the fatherly duties for Ms. Anthony's child because he believed he was not the father. However, Ms. Anthony made things worse as she already dropped the ball of Mr. Porcio not being the baby's father, but Ms. Anthony blamed it on the state of mind she was in back then.
Take me back. I want to understand the nature of this relationship. Were you all dating? Were you committed?
Well, I was sitting at the bus stop, and he walked up to me and asked me about one of my tattoos, and we just clicked from there. We were amazing when we were together. We didn't fight very much. We never argued. And then I went away for a little while.
Neither one of us were ready to be in a relationship nor have a child.
But it was a sexual relationship.
Yes, it was.
Were you using protection?
No, Your Honor, we were not.
That's an amazing connection, but things obviously didn't go as planned. Both sides agreed that their relationship was not a serious one at that time, but that should have been strongly considered while the unprotected sexual occurrences kept going, because there's only one way that is going to end: a baby. And here we are.
All right.
In that picture.
First picture, you two look happy together.
We were.
Cute couple, April 4th, 2015. Is that the window of conception?
Yes, ma'am. That's actually the day, the highest, when they give you the week window.
Another photo of you two together, April 21st, 2015. Still in the month of April. And yet another one, April 8th, 2015.
And all this is after she told me that she was pregnant with another man's child, and I wasn't the father. I was trying to.
April 8th and April 4th were before.
The brief relationship did seem nice looking at the pictures, but that's over now. Mr. Porcio thinks Ms. Anthony is making things up with her mixed dates about the window of conception and the time she was due, but Ms. Anthony believes Mr. Porcio needs to go back to high to be able to comprehend what she's saying. Oops.
How did this relationship end, Miss Anthony?
He cheated on me with his spouse now. That is how that happened.
Actually,
and he begged me to stay,
I cheated on my
and I
spouse with you.
And now you're married, Mr. Pouchot.
Yes, ma'am.
Happily.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, okay, never mind. I don't have those text messages where you were gonna get a divorce 2 weeks ago.
A divorce 2 weeks ago? How's that possible when Mr. Porcio just claimed he's currently happily married? Probably Mr. Porcio confided in Ms. Anthony, but we don't know since Ms. Anthony doesn't have the evidence for that statement.
Thank you for joining us, sir. Please state your name for the court.
Michael Pouchot.
Mr. Pouchot, you are what relation to Mr. Pouchot?
He's
the
my
defendant?
husband.
He is your husband?
Yes, ma'am. I have proof of that.
Please present it to the court. All right, this is in fact your marriage.
Mr. Porcio's partner says he didn't know anything about their intimate relationship, but Ms. Anthony really said the baby wasn't Mr. Porcio's child. It seems like Ms. Anthony said the baby wasn't Mr. Porcio's baby more times than she can remember.
I did say that. You have to understand where I was coming from as a mother. You have to, and it was wrong of me. The decision I made was not right in any way, shape, or form. I understand that. But at that point in time, I thought that I was doing what was best for my child. I thought that I was making the best decision because he wasn't ready to be a parent.
Actually, my husband can attest to this. I've helped raise my nieces, my nephews, and I've been sober for 16 months now.
That's good. I'm proud of you for that.
Ms. Anthony is being honest with herself, knowing it wasn't right for her to say that line, "That's what is currently causing a ruckus." And what makes Mr. Porcio think the baby isn't his, regardless of how Ms. Anthony is trying to spin the narrative. Even though Mr. Porcio wants a baby, he doubts Ms. Anthony's baby being his child.
At the time the child was born, were you telling him he was the father?
I told him he wasn't at that time.
So he wasn't present for the birth?
No, he was not, and I feel wrong. I stripped him of that, and that was wrong.
The man that was present for the birth signed the birth certificate.
Yes, ma'am.
And he's who I was told was the father.
And
so there was another man at the hospital?
Yes, ma'am.
Ms. Anthony may be messy and have made wrong choices, but she's pretty honest with herself about the situation. However, there are a lot of compounding stories being added to the story at this point. There was another man at the hospital, keeping the truth private while it was being posted on Facebook and whatnot. It's starting to get complicated, so it's about time we know if the child belongs to Mr. Porcio or not.
Mr. Pouchot, you are the father.